Do you want a bedtime story?
Okay, an imaginary one.
I listened to my hero say they saved me when I was young. They brought me high above, took my pain away.
I have a secret.
What's your secret?
I've been lost and I've been found. In the dark, I'll use my voice. I'll be the light. I'll make a sound singing.
We're very happy to have you here.
Ooh, I'll sing a song for tomorrow. Ooh.
Would you please come with me?
Sing a song for tomorrow.
It's just like a dream.
Let the song that I'm singing, let it carry you through. Let the words be your wings, give the strength to you.
For the first time, I didn't feel so alone.
Let the song that I'm singing, let it carry you through. Let the words be your wings, give the strength to
Hello, everyone. I don't know about you, but I get teary every single time I watch that trailer. My name is Maheen Ibrahim, and I'm an executive producer of season 1 of Launchpad. Welcome, Academy Gold students. I truly believe that art feeds the soul, and I'm grateful to have art in this challenging time. Our goal with the Disney Launchpad Shorts Incubator is to tell 6 deeply meaningful, personal stories straight from the filmmakers' hearts, and to help launch the careers of 6 visionary, underrepresented writers and directors. A big thank you to Panavision for providing the camera, lenses, and equipment for our 6 short films. We are grateful for their passion to champion new filmmakers. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to our hosts, who I feel so fortunate to work with, Philip Yadamfe and Alyssa Navarro.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction, Maheen, and thank you, Academy Gold, for joining Disney Launchpad and Panavision for this amazing digital panel. Panavision and Disney share a commitment to empowering storytellers from a diverse cross-section of communities. Hello, everyone. My name is Philip Yadamfe. I am the Senior Manager and Launchpad Executive of the Disney Launchpad Shorts Incubator. I'll be your host for this afternoon, and I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Alyssa Navarro, executive producer of season 1 of Disney Launchpad. Alyssa, it's a pleasure to be with you this afternoon.
Hi, Philip. It's good to be with you as well, and hello to all of you watching.
Tonight, Alyssa and I have the great honor of introducing the world to the next generation of Disney filmmakers. Through the Launchpad program, we've had the privilege of working with and supporting 6 amazing filmmakers as they wrote and directed our first collection of short films for Disney+.
These films are unique, beautiful, thought-provoking, heartbreaking, and funny, and showcase a diverse and unique perspective that the industry needs more of.
So without further ado, please join us in welcoming Anne-Marie Pace, the writer and director of Growing Fangs.
Aqsa Altaf, the writer and director of American E.
Zheng, the co-writer and director of Dinner is Served.
Jessica Mendez Siqueiros, the writer and director of The Last of the Chupacabras.
Moxie, the writer and director of The Little Princess.
And Stefanie Abel Horowitz, the writer and director of Let's Be Tigers.
Welcome, everyone. It's so great to have you all here with us. And let's go around and have you tell us why getting these stories made was so important to you. Let's start with Anne-Marie.
Yeah. Well, I'll start it off by saying I'm Mexican American and queer, and growing up I didn't get to see a lot of representation that was queer and Mexican in film and television. And so at a young age, I internalized that as those parts of myself weren't important. And so to get to tell a story that features a main character who is queer and Mexican American, and those parts of herself are celebrated and normalized, and get to tell it on a platform like Disney, it just felt so empowering and validating. And it wasn't lost on me that, other kids that are going to see this that, might be like me or might need to feel that they're not alone, are going to in some way feel that they are important and worthy.
So beautiful, Anne-Marie. I totally agree with you. It's so important for people out there to feel seen and that they are beautiful and worthy. So Aqsa, I actually have the same question for you. Why was getting your story made important to you?
Well, to start off with, I wanted to tell stories, as a Muslim South Asian myself, I wanted to tell a story about Muslims that not only humanized us, but also educated the audience on aspects of my culture and religion that is so special and important to me. Now, Eid is a very special holiday for us. It was everything to me growing up. And despite there being 1.8 billion Muslims around the world, I just questioned why this is not something that was ever showcased on mainstream media for so long. It's kind of crazy to think about it. Instead, the narratives that were told were so negative and so one-sided and one from a very, very Western gaze. And that is the reason why the story is important to me. I want Muslim kids to see their holiday being represented on mainstream media and to feel like they belong and what is special to them matters in this world.
That's such a true and really cool response, and I think you really accomplished that with your film. And so, how we'd love to hear from you on this as well. What really drove you to want to realize this story?
I grew up pretty much moving from place to place, like from the Gobi Desert in China to the southern coast of China, then to New York, Boston, and LA. I felt that the more I traveled, strangely, the more I felt lost about who I am and where I belong. And so that's why I always wanted to tell stories and use those stories as opportunities to explore, a little bit more about my own identity and belonging. And so when I first came to the US, as a Chinese, as an international student, I felt that I've never really seen myself represented on the big screen. So, as part of this Launchpad program, I felt being able to have the opportunity to make a film and to show my story and share my voice, it's super meaningful to me. I hope that others like me can also feel that, we're seen and we're heard.
Beautifully said. And I know that after people see your story, they're definitely going to have the same feelings of feeling seen. Passing it along to Jessica, we'd love to hear from you as well, what your story is and why it was important for you to get your story made.
Yeah, I think that one of the beautiful things about the time that we're living in is that we live in such a global moment. But at the same time, we're dealing with so much backlash for people feeling like they don't get to celebrate and see their individual culture celebrated because we feel so pressured to live in this beautiful global society. And I really wanted to tell a story that allows for the conflict between the joy that you feel when you get to celebrate yourself and celebrate your own traditions and the fear that can happen in response from society to that joy, and really kind of unmask joy for being able to be celebrated and being able to not be an enemy to this beautiful global culture that we're living in, that we can all be ourselves and celebrate our traditions, but also be part of the world as a whole.
I can't wait for people to see your film because that celebration really comes across, and you did such an amazing job of bringing that life and that spirit to the screen. And so, Moxie, would love to hear from you on this as well. Any thoughts that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think to have a lead character that is Chinese and non-binary, it's huge itself. I think, when we were growing up, we didn't have that type of representation. But I think being able to bring this to, one of the biggest studio and show it to millions of trans and queer kids out there, it's remarkable in itself. Yeah, and I'm really proud to be part of that. And I think, Disney has the tradition of nurturing and cultivating storytellers generations after generation, myself included. I think it's really, truly remarkable.
Absolutely, Moxie. What you said, Disney does have a huge impact on not only our generations, but future generations. So last but certainly not least, let's hear from Stefanie.
Yeah, I started writing the film when my Zadie, but that's my grandfather, was going to be 100, and my parents were turning 70, and my nephew was going to be 4. And I was thinking about the passing of the baton of life, and that I wasn't the kid anymore, and that made me kind of sad. And sad about my parents and my grandparents and everyone aging. And that made me think about sadness and how we talk about sadness and how we share sadness and how we talk to kids about sadness. So the film is really about, we're all sad at some point in our lives. It's the kind of inevitable thing of being alive, and we'll all have loss. So, if you're brave enough to share that sadness with people, we'll all feel a little less alone in our sadness, or maybe even feel really good about being alive. So, as the daughter of a therapist, as a person who's sometimes sad or will be sad or has friends who will be sad, I'm just excited to, share that with people and bring that to the world.
You really threaded the needle with your short film of joy and sadness, and in such a moving way. And truly, all of you, this whole entire class has just done such amazing, just top level storytelling. So big congratulations to you. We're so glad we celebrated you guys today. And in just a moment, we'll have a panel conversation with everyone here. But before then, we'd love to just show a little bit of a behind the scenes look at the making of the first season of Disney Launchpad.
And action.
It is monumentally big.
It's just magic how this happened.
This is a story of how we all celebrate individual cultures. Fear of not being accepted really can be a huge power over you.
As much as that can be a shared experience, I hope people feel they can be a part of a community.
What's most important is to tell a story that really matters to you.
To tell untold stories, the best that you can think of. It was fantastic.
We all just want to be recognized as ourselves.
Embrace yourself and really be who you are.
We all have a light in us, and that's the beauty of it.
Being on set was so fun. It's joyful.
Everyone in the family can enjoy it together, get inspiration, maybe even change their lives.
Such a beautiful, inspiring piece showcasing our wonderful filmmakers who I'm sure you want to hear more from. So we have actually received some questions from our Academy Gold students for all of these amazing filmmakers on our panel this evening. The first question comes from Cecilia Mamor.
Thank you for this opportunity to ask questions about the Launchpad program. I would like to ask about character development. I'm writing a story based on ancestors and a young girl, but I would really like to know what makes a great character, or what is it that you're really looking for in terms of characters.
Great first question, Cecilia. So Moxie, this question is for you because early on in the process, you shared with us in your writing process, you like to do character studies. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think character studies are so important to tell an authentic story. There are many ways to start your character study process. I would say, like, for me, I often will first lean into characters that I know or I'm familiar of to start with. And then I like to do a lot of research, like talking to people who you're going to write about, because you need to get to know them, then you can write about them, then you can talk about them. And also, like, watching documentaries is a good way for you to sort of self-educate yourself about the characters you're developing. Once you've done a lot of character study work, I think the next step is to really know your character and to find specific things of your character, like what your character will do, right? You ask questions like, will my character behave like this? Will they talk like this? Would they react to this situation like this? So those questions will help you sort of narrow down the behaviors and the characteristics of your character. And then I think then you just let them speak and they will come to life.
Beautiful. Very great tips. Aqsa, I wanted to ask you as well, your short American Eid showcases two young girl characters, similar to what Cecilia was talking about. She has a young character in hers. So I wanted to ask you, what makes a great character?
The two aspects of character development that I have learned, and I continue to learn because it's really hard to do, is contradictions and dimensions within characters. It's the contradicting values that they have. Humans are never this or that. It's never simple. They're very layered. They're very nuanced. They're so complex. They do things we don't understand that they even themselves can't make sense of, because what's driving them is probably a ghost from the past or a trauma that they had and that they haven't processed. And it's informing and coloring a lot of the things that they're doing. So, for example, like a really good example of this in a simple sentence is, you can love your family, but then you can't wait to leave them when you turn 18 to go to college. That's a contradiction dimension in simple form. It sounds very simple, but that's how humans are. And that informs how they interact in each scene with each character. And that just makes, them not just one note. And I think thinking in these terms really makes a character come true to life, and they're more reflective of real people. And like I said, it's so hard to do, but the more you study people, the more you ask questions from yourself to why you said this, why you did that in that very moment out of pure emotion, you just get to study a little bit about human nature. And that is what informs good characters.
Fantastic answers. This is really a masterclass on making complex and interesting and grounded and thoughtful people. I almost imagine, like, listening to you both, it's like taking your characters to therapy and like being a fly on the wall in their sessions to, really get a sense of what's going on the inside. So thank you for these lovely answers. Our next question is going to come from Courtney Smith.
Hello. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. My question for you is, through your Launchpad experience, how did you discover new ways to empower voices? And do you have any recommendations for us in small ways that we can do that from where we are now? Thank you again so much.
Fantastic question. Anne-Marie, I'd love to take this to you. How do you discover new ways to empower your voice? Where do you even start, whether it's empowering your voice or the voices of others? There's so many voices that need empowerment. Where do we begin?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've had to figure this out. I asked myself this question a lot, and I think the base form that I figured out and the biggest thing I learned is that the best way to empower other voices is just to live out loud your own life. And I came out a lot later in life. And even being Mexican American, I grew up in a small town where I didn't want to stand out by speaking Spanish. So the queer side of myself and the Mexican part of myself, I would hide. And the moment in my life where I started to take ownership of that and really be who I am and be proud of who I am, I felt the strength in myself. And I think strength becomes contagious and empowers others to do the same. So if you're just true to yourself and keep fighting for your voice, you can lead a path for everyone else.
Strength becomes contagious. That's a bar right there.
Writing that down.
Whew, yeah, writing it and or stealing it. Okay, a fantastic answer, Anne-Marie. Jessica, we've had the pleasure now of knowing each other and working together for a couple of years. Voice, authenticity, all these things shine through in all of your works. It's something that I've valued about you as an artist for a long time. How do you cultivate that? How do you keep that fire burning? Especially as you just continue to take the next steps in your career, and certainly it can't always be easy. We'd love to know if you have some thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, I think also in the same kind of self-empowerment vein, I think one of the trickiest parts is that you're not only fighting for empowering others and giving other people a platform, we're also mostly doing that in an unprecedented way, which means that the traditional model of looking at people and saying, oh, okay, well, that person already made it, so now I have to kind of win their favor and then they'll help me up, doesn't really exist, because so many of those people that you're looking towards are dealing with an old model. So I think one of the things that you have to do is self-empower yourself and then actually get really creative and really open your eyes to who you're surrounded by, because the people you're surrounded by are the people that you're going to not only empower, but they're going to empower you, and we're all going to rise together. And so I think it's really, really important to kind of get rid of these predisposed ideas of like what success even means. Because once you kind of get rid of this idea that like we're working in an old model, then you have so much more power to create a new system. And I think you have to start thinking like, not only what did this position used to be on set, but like, how can I create a bridge for somebody who maybe doesn't have the vocabulary, maybe doesn't have the background, but is going to lend a much more authentic, beautiful experience to this film that like might just need an extra little like hand reaching back to be like, okay, cool, great. You don't know, what this shot is. Let me explain it to you, but we're gonna have such a more authentic experience.
I think, Jessica, what you said really resonated a lot, because that's essentially what we're doing here with Launchpad, right? Is breaking that system and really just trying to allow for more opportunities and more voices, that it doesn't have to be this straight model. In fact, some of you here on this call today didn't even go to film school, but have created an amazing short for Disney. I just think it's still mind-boggling to me when I think about it for too long. But we're going to go to the next question. This next question comes from Dean Gotti.
My name is Dean Gaddy, and I was wondering, what resources did Disney provide you with to help you feel comfortable and produce your work? Did they help with providing access to programs like Final Draft and Avid?
Quickly, I'm going to half answer Dean's question, actually, because I wanted to give a quick shout out to Panavision, because they provided the cameras, lenses, and equipment for all the filmmakers to use on the 6 shorts. So just a quick shout out to Panavision. We're very grateful, very, very grateful for their support. Thank you, Panavision. But I'm going to ask this question to Stefanie. Speaking of filmmakers who didn't go to film school, but still an incredibly talented director, how did you feel supported through the program to produce your work and create your film?
I felt crazy supported. I mean, we got to make studio films with Disney, and that's pretty cool. So we don't have to produce our own work because we have people doing it for us. But really, I really can't imagine feeling more supported than I did because we had resources, we had Disney employees, Disney producers, we had so many people doing all this work for and with us. And then on top of that, we were given mentors, which I know was meaningful to all of us. Mine was this cool guy, Grant at Marvel, but they really kind of helped walk you through the experience emotionally. And I think like the real unexpected, or for me, unexpected level of support was that we got each other and we love each other. Yeah, everybody shake your head. I'm paying them for this. No, we got each other and truly, like, I can't imagine going through this experience of like making this very big studio film with all these cool resources where you don't have to produce your own work and not have like this team of people around me. So, I think truly it's the most supported thing I've ever done.
I will say, I think we did get very, very lucky with all of you filmmakers in that we all, not only all six of you get along, but even the Launchpad team, we're such a big family and have group chats. And it's fun and it's beautiful. And Hal, I'm going to ask you the same question. But on the other hand, knowing you went to film school, but was there anything that Disney did to provide you with any additional support or anything maybe you didn't know before coming to the program that was helpful for making your film?
Right. I mean, like part of what Stephanie was saying is that it kind of feels like going back to film school in a way that we have each other. We're like, like it's like classmates, fellows coming together. We always share our very truthful like notes with each other. We support each other's voice. We have our brain trust. And other than that, though, I do feel that, my mentors, Rachel Young and Jess Virtual, Live Action, they are very, very supportive. Because to be honest, like before, when I first come into the program, I felt very nervous, and I felt that sometimes you don't know how to approach your mentor or the executives at Disney. You will be very self-conscious about how do I do that. But then they're very reachable, and we're like going through notes. We're going through like how to solve problems during development, during pre-production. And what I felt the most supportive is that like even though they will give you notes, but then they always make sure to let me know that, at the end of the day, you are making your own film. You need to have your voice heard. So, that for me is invaluable. And other than that, I feel logistically, I also learned a ton through this journey. You get the opportunity to work with so many professionals in different departments, like music, like VFX, physical production, which I've never had that experience of. And that was a very good learning experience.
Moxie, would love to get your thoughts on this as well when it comes to making a really quality film, or what it even means to make a quality film when you're kind of at the beginning of your career.
I think a lot of times when a filmmaker started, their biggest resource is themselves. You can invest your time in doing character studies. You can invest your time in revising a script, make the script the best shape it can be, right? And then the other thing is like learn to kind of use your restriction. If you have a small crew, then maybe you can have the crew, do more spontaneous experiment stuff. The beautiful magic hour sunset is every day there for free, and really learn to use that and make your film pretty. I think those things will help you build value and gain production value for your projects. And then all in all, the script is the most important.
Very great, real, practical tips from Moxie. And we have one final question from Tatiana Sims.
Hello, my name is Tatiana Sims, and I'm a filmmaker and a part of the Academy Gold class of 2018. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. Filmmaking, as we all know, is part of a huge collaborative effort to make something beautiful. I'm curious of how you all showed your collaborative strengths on your applications.
How? I'm going to ask this question to you because one thing I loved when visiting your set for Dinner is Served was how collaborative you were with your whole entire crew.
Right. So, well, first of all, collaboration is such a key thing that I value in the process of filmmaking. But then again, I mean, collaboration, even though, I mean, it's a very big word. So like you actually, I would say like you really need to break it down into details, like how are you actually gonna collaborate? You really need to know that working process. For example, like with me, like when I work with my like collaborators, my writers, producers, you know, DP, PD, editor, I always, you know, we always talk about the story first. We go scene by scene. We never really talk about the visuals. We don't talk about the rhythm. We don't talk about anything else other than this. We just focus on the story, because for me, only when everyone understands the same vision, when everyone understands the same story, can we all collaborate on this and put the most out of, you know, everyone. So I guess those are my tips.
Yeah, those are great tips. And I'm going to ask Aqsa the same question. Do you have any tips for collaboration as a director, as another great collaborator yourself, and how you showcase those strengths?
Yeah, it's I'm like, I agree with everything House said. Like, collaboration is not theoretical. It's something you have to practice. You have to do it. I think the biggest thing is to find people who have the same sensibility as you. I think that's a very important word, sensibility. The more I work with filmmakers and collaborators, the more I'm realizing that you just either have that same sensibility or in the same wavelength. It doesn't have to be exact match, but it has to complement each other. That goes so far, you know, especially when you're working with collaborators for the first time. You don't have a shorthand. You have to make sure that, and to get their sensibilities, you talk to them, see what kind of filmmakers they like, what kind of films they resonate to, what are their values in storytelling. All that really informs that process. And I will tell you one last thing. I learned through collaboration through this program more than anything that I ever did. And that came through script development with my mentors and with Launchpad team and my amazing brain trust that I have here, the filmmakers. I truly learned to give notes and get notes, which are two things that I will forever, ever take with me, because I think that's a very delicate process that nobody can teach you. You just have to learn yourself. So yeah, that's like my little spiel on collaboration.
Love that, Aqsa. Stefanie, I'm going to actually end this question with you. If you can share any final words or examples of collaboration from Launchpad, and advice to future filmmakers on how they can showcase that.
My advice is treat your collaborators like they know as much or more than you. I feel very like I'm super excited if someone else has the better idea than I did. So treat everybody like they're going to have the better idea, and you're just sort of like cultivating a space where everyone can have a great idea. And then you'll have fun collaborations and you'll have a better movie that you didn't think of.
I think what every artist here has done, firstly, they're filmmakers. Will always kind of be our babies, but they're artists, and we respect and dignify as such. I think what every artist here did a great job of, and I think the real value and challenge as a filmmaker is setting the course. You don't have to have all the answers for how you're going to get there, but you kind of like set the North Star of like, this story is going this way. And when you bring other people in, it's like It's like, I'm building a boat, the boat's going to Tahiti. How do we best build this boat? And I think everyone on all of your shoots, you did that. It was so clear. And, working with the creative executives, they're like your spirit guides, are kind of like, the boat goes left, the boat goes right, and it's just such a beautiful thing that happens in our program.
Absolutely. I think that was a great way to bring the conversation here to a close. It's been so great to hear from our filmmakers, from Philip, and we are so excited for the opportunity to celebrate you all, celebrate everything that you've accomplished so far through Launchpad, and hear about the rest of your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. This was a delight. So, thank you again for your time. Special thank you to our filmmakers, to Academy Gold, and especially to Panavision for really being in the trenches with us and providing the resources to really help these filmmakers bring their visions to life. And for everyone out there, Disney Launchpad shorts, they are going to premiere on Disney Plus May 28th. So have a wonderful afternoon or evening or night or morning, wherever you are. And that's it. That's us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.